Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. I'm glad to be with you. Glad you're with me. Thank God for another day. Thank God for another day alive. Thank God for you all for listening and watching and consuming this however you do. Make sure and tell a friend about it and like and subscribe and all the things. If you're a frequent flyer with me, if you're not a frequent flyer, you can become one. And so there's that. First, I'd like to start off by thanking my sponsors, Mortgage Financial Services in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. I told Steve Oglesby that I always say, and they'll pray like hell for you. And he said, no, we'll pray you out of hell or something like that. But I can't ever get it right. So anyway, just know they'll pray for you. Let's start with CNN.com, okay? CNN.com. I'm just going to read the headline. Army sergeant in custody after 5 soldiers shot at Fort Stewart. Here's the deal. Here's what we know instantly from this headline. This was not a white Christian. Now, why do we know that? Because anytime it's a white Christian, and probably wasn't a conservative, it's a Christian white Christian conservative shoots people. That's always the headline. So instantly when they, and look, I would, not that means that they didn't do it if they were, but this is just the way the conversation is always framed. So when they bury that, immediately from the headline, oh, it's in a white guy, and he isn't a Christian, and he probably isn't a conservative, because they would have said this. Then once you get into it, it's a suspected shooter Cornelius Radford, which I don't know. That doesn't really tell me a lot. And then it doesn't say much more about him. This is the hypocrisy of the media. This is what we need to look for. Look, I want justice whenever anybody shoots anybody. Also, I think it's a wild thing that we don't allow our military personnel to carry guns on bases inside the U.S. If they all had a gun, only 1 or 2 of them would have been shot before they killed the guy. We train our military to kill people. Once again, gun laws cause multiple people to get shot. If everyone had a gun, there's a chance not as many people would get shot. Where do people attack? Gun-free zones. Whatever that is, schools and government buildings and army bases where they 100% know everybody doesn't have a gun. Side note, in Texas, teachers are allowed to carry guns. So bring it. I think it ought to be a law that every person should be required to at least own a gun. I think you shouldn't have to have a concealed carry license. You should just assume everyone has a gun. Being from where I'm from, I do assume everyone has a gun. And generally, I assume you've probably got more than one. As I have commonly heard referred to, you got your truck gun and you've got your pocket gun, right? You've got your one pistol that you leave in the truck, and you've got your little bit smaller pistol that'll fit in your pocket. Right, just in case. You've got your truck gun and you're on your body gun, and that's the way it works. I guess everybody doesn't see things as clearly, but if everybody had to carry a gun, you would at least know, hey, when I go to shoot this person, there's a good chance they're going to shoot me back. It just makes sense. But no, we say, oh, you can't carry guns. It's illegal to have a gun on this military base where we treat you to carry guns to kill people. If anyone, there should be no one more at ease with carrying a gun safely than our military, right? That's what they do. But oh no, we'd hate for them to have guns on the base. So then when an active shooter gets in there, they have to lock things down. How stupid. What kind of liberal policy is this? Wild. Just wild. All right, we're going to move on. Because I could stay on gun control all day. but I don't have all the stats for it. But I know carrying a gun makes you safer. It's like people. It's like the death penalty. Oh, the death penalty doesn't prevent crime. It prevents that person from committing another crime. The next person can worry about this. If they know there's a chance they'll die, they won't do it. Just a one-off. Speaking of death penalty, I also believe pedophilia should have a consequence of the death penalty as well. All right, here's this. CNBC. ESPN links a 5-year deal with WWE. That's the World Wrestling. It used to be WWF Federation. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's entertainment now. Live premium events, including WrestleMania and Royal Rumble. Now, I've never been a huge wrestling fan. When I was in high school, it was before The Rock became a. Maybe it was even before I was in high school. It wasn't before he became a huge movie star and everything. But I know of wrestling. You knew the Hulkster. He died not too long ago. But never just been a avid fan of wrestling. However, wrestling. I believe that the UFC tried to buy wrestling or something like that, and at some point. But here's what I think. Now, these guys are athletes. And anytime you talk to any of them, you know that when you get hit with a chair, you still get hit with a chair. Is what somebody said on one of these guys said on the documentary. Now, is it staged? Do they think they know who are going to win? Yeah, of course. But are you doing backflips off the top rope? Are you still falling through tables from 10 feet high? No, it still takes a toll, right? It's still athletic what they do. Let's don't minimize that, okay? And so I say, oh yeah, but the outcomes are pre-drawn. A lot of you believe that the outcomes in the NFL are known beforehand, right? So is it fitting that wrestling that the WWE goes to ESPN when they just bought the part of the NFL network? It seems like the same move, just they call it two different things to me. Anyway, just food for thought. If wrestling is fake, are the outcomes of the NFL known? And if they are, if this is going to ESPN, it's all advertising the same types. Athletic guys doing athletic things, just maybe with an outcome that's already known before. Now, I'm not saying that I'm 100% set on that with the NFL, but there's that theory out there. Do I think the refs can influence? I think the athletes don't know. I think they're playing to win because that's what athletes do. Can the refs massage it in a way that it goes how they want it to go? Yeah. I think that's fairly evident. And even how many years ago was the guy that the referee from the NBA wrote the book about swinging games in the NBA? It's a thing. So, is it as scripted as WWE? No. Are calls made to influence a game in certain ways? They have to be. I mean, you can, if you've ever watched an NFL game, you know that too. So, there's that. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, let's see. Oh, what was this article? I'm looking at it, but I don't remember. Oh, let's see. In a key win for immigration rights organizations, California Court of Appeals, this is from the Los Angeles Times, ruled that the University of California has not provided sufficient legal grounds to justify its discriminatory policy barring the hiring of undocumented students. So a court just found that the University of California can't not hire someone because they're illegal. How wild is the world going? It's discrimination if you don't hire someone because they're illegal. Yeah, you're right. It is discrimination. And it just is. And that's okay because they're not supposed to be. We're discriminating against people that are here illegally. discrimination isn't the most evil term in the world. It means that you're saying, hey, this person shouldn't be in this job. So in this context, I'm completely okay with it. It's amazing how much our window has been shifted. And if you're new here, you'll hear me refer to this often. It's a book called The Overton Window. You should read it if you haven't. And it just talks about how your perspective, your frame that you see everything through, when you get new information, it shifts that window. They now, and for this court and for California, the window has been shifted so far that it's discriminatory in the worst of ways to not hire someone who's not even a citizen. Oh, you know what? Speaking of that, I'm going to skip a couple of these articles. There's another article that has something to do with this. This is from MexicanNewsDaily.com. MexicanNewsDaily.com. Remittances, so money wired to Mexico, plummet 16% in June, the biggest drop in a decade. You want to know how much money still went from the U.S. to Mexico in June? $5 billion with a B dollars. $5 billion was sent via Western Union or whatever, MoneyGram or however they're doing it, to Mexico from the U.S. Here's my issue with this. Having worked, and this is where I get a lot of my frame of thought on a lot of things, especially when it comes to the income tax checks and different things. Having worked in a bank, the first bank I managed served low to LMI groups, right? It was economically depressed, as they call them, bank. And the goal of that bank was to open checking accounts for people that got checks from government, got your welfare and your Social Security and all that. Not that all of them did, right? Because there were certain areas where this bank was very well to do in parts of Texas and across the country, honestly. But primarily here, it focused on low to moderate income customers. And then they knew that through overdraft fees and everything, that's where you made your money, right? And so that being said, a lot of our clientele didn't have, well, not a lot of, but there was. We also did remittances, and I'm just trying not to use any companies' names here. Remittances to Mexico or to anywhere in the world, and so what they did was the illegals that were obviously illegal would come in. They would bring you cash, and then you would put that cash in and whatever the fee was, and then you would send that money on to Mexico. And look, we sent a lot of money to Vietnam as well. For the immigrants from Vietnam. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. Like, this is $5 billion to Mexico from the U.S. in the month of June, and it's down 16%. That money, a lot of times, is untaxed. Right? There was no remittance tax. There was the fee that you paid to the company to send it, plus whatever we added on to do it. There was no tax, so this was income. They want to tax your income. They want to tax my income. They want to make sure they get all they can from the makers of the country. However, when the remittances, the overseas remittances, there was no tax on them, so they'd send thousands of dollars in cash that they had made doing whatever their job is. I don't know if it was walking dogs or framing houses. Whatever it was, no tax, and it would go through. Now, this is key for Mexico because one of the top, at least 10, but at one point top 5, and that's been, years ago, one of the top 10 GDP factors in Mexico are remittances from the United States. So a key economic indicator in the country of Mexico is money coming from the U.S. into Mexico that we're spending here, that we're paying people here, that never goes back into our system, much less doesn't have any taxes taken off of it, sales tax, property tax, gas tax, whatever, none of it, much less income tax. It's untaxed money Then you have people that listen to this show, and you pay your 38% income tax, and you pay your property tax, and you pay your you pay your sales tax, and you license your truck, and you pay your hunting license, and you pay for your fishing license, and everything else you pay tax, and you're paying 60 to 70% of everything you own goes to taxes. And then a key indicator of Mexican economy is $5 billion a month that's coming from the U.S. to you, and we're not pulling any taxes of it, and you wonder why we get upset that we're overtaxed, and then yeah, this is a problem. So the article on Mexico News Daily is the remittances have plummeted 16% in June, largest, and that's year over year, right? Largest decline in 10 years. Good. We're sending people home. We're not paying them money. They're self-deporting. This is what we want. This is an indication of policies that are working. Now, the companies that do this, that make money off this, they're not a fan of this. They're large corporations. They're like, we're losing money here. So there's a fight for this, right? In every way. This is what you call an intended consequence. Now, I've talked to Congressman Nathaniel Moran a couple of times about this. Like, hey, we need to tax. And there is a bill, and I think it was in the big, beautiful bill, that they put a tax on remittances. As much as we have the tariffs, remittances going out of this country need to be taxed 100%. Okay, if you're sending $1,000, it's going to cost you $1,000 tax. We need to put a stop to it. Because listen, if we told Mexico, hey, stop sending drugs and people over here illegally, and if you don't, we're going to cut off all remittances to you. So that's, 5 billion times 12, right? It'll get you $60 billion a year. I'm sure it fluctuates by month. We're going to cut off all remittances. We're going to bomb all your drug facilities, whether it be weed fields, whether it's where they're putting together fentanyl, whatever. We're just going to take it out with our warplanes. Also, we're going to take your oil wells. Or even not. We're just going to bomb them. We're going to blow them up and make them where they don't work. So we're going to cut that down. And then another key indicator in Mexico is rubber. We're going to take out your rubber fields. And we're going to take Acapulco and the Yucatan Peninsula and annex that into the United States. They would go back to the 1500s. Now, I understand that that's way extreme. However, these are all different levers, and there's varying degrees inside each of that we can do to stop the money. So yeah, it's good that that's gone down. It's good that immigration's working in such a way that, okay, we're seeing lots of this, but these remittances, this is why people like me, people like a lot of you, are frustrated, because free money's leaving here untaxed, and we're just penalized every day. We're penalized for owning stuff. We're penalized for going anywhere. Hell, you can't go, I'm looking across the street at a gas station, 40 cents of every dollar of gas that you buy is tax in the state of Texas. It's like 18 cents state tax, 20% federal tax, or vice versa. I can't remember which one it is. It's 38 cents, actually, is what it is. Everything you do is taxed. Yet if you're here illegally and you're using our roads and you don't have insurance and you're causing the price of housing to go up because you're filling up rent houses that citizens can't get, and you're using our medical services that we pay for, and you're not paying your ER bill, and then then you're not paying any income tax, then you can send that money back tax-free? Who's more hateful? You're using everything great about this country, sending it out of the country, and then telling us that we don't deserve to tell you no. What a wild world. How crazy is it? It's just nuts. And we're told, don't worry, we're just hateful conservatives and we're just going to have to deal with it. No, sir. Not me. I'm going to get on here and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell everybody I know about it every day. Because this is what we do. This is what we talk about. All right, we're going to move on. Let's go to Spain. This is from Dr. Maalouf. I guess it's Malouf on X.com. Spain. A man was beaten to death in Barcelona by 3 Moroccan migrants after he tried to rescue a 15-year-old girl they were trying to rape. So this guy protects this girl, those 15, that these 3 guys are trying to rape. Now look, whatever you want to say, the Prophet Muhammad was married to a 9-year-old and he raped her. That's in the Quran. That's a known thing. Muhammad was a pedophile. However you want to take it, that's the case. So, just off the jump, you're starting with worshiping a pedophile if you're Islamic. That being said, and they have some kind of justification for it, and I don't give in on that. So that happened. So then they get mad that this guy won't let them rape this girl, and they beat him to death in Spain. So good for the Spaniards. They're standing up. They went to the mosque that this guy went to because he went to his mosque. It wasn't like he was unchurched, as they say. And they're surrounding the mosque and rioting, saying, hey, this place needs to close. We need to get this out of here. This is what immigration has done to all of Europe. It's a wild thing when a man can protect a girl from rape and then get beat to death for it. And then to have any justice, you have to take a group of people and go protest against it. What a sick, perverse world. What we need is Jesus. And one day he's coming whether you want him to or not. Golly, it's just wild. This is what's coming. This is what's coming if we don't get a handle on our immigration system, on our immigration policies. Look at Minnesota. Ilhan Omar and that group. All the Somalis up there. Just like yesterday, people talking about, when that lady said Guatemala, but Ilhan Omar has said that she's loyal to Somalia. Same things. I mean, she married her brother to get him here. Her husband is her brother. Right? When you come from a religion where they tell you it's okay to lie to the infidel to get them to accept you, then it doesn't matter because you don't have the Christian moral standards that the United States was founded on. So just to clarify, in Islam, it's okay to lie to the infidel. They follow a pedophile. Right? But don't worry. Religion of peace. They're only going to lie to you and rape your children. Golly. Now, do I know some good Muslims? Absolutely. Do I know some bad Christians? Absolutely. So let's don't get it confused. I'm just talking about on whole. Okay, Newt Gingrich says that the Democrats are doing something that he has not seen since the 1930s. Gingrich goes on, this is on the Daily Caller News Foundation .org. Gingrich goes on to say that the Democrat Party is in complete collapse right now, as the Republicans were in the 30s. It's looking like they could be, but here's the problem. The cowardly Republicans refuse to be winners. They refuse to seize the moment. They refuse to take advantage of it. Because half of them are Democrats. Half of them are liberals. They don't know how to win. They don't know. They've never been a winner. They don't know anything about it. So yeah, I mean, the Democrat Party is in free fall. You can see that. However, once again, the Republicans will seize defeat from the jaws of victory because they don't know how to win. All right, let's see what else we've got. Some Beto O'Rourke stuff. And that's pretty much it. That's it until tomorrow. All right. I hope you all have a great day. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today. And we'll be back. We'll do it all again tomorrow.